Good afternoon. Today I would like to present to you a set of brushes. They're made specially for flower painting. It's very suitable to use them. They are made as usual flat brushes or chisel brushes. They're quite wide, but they are very well glued in a special way, so that they are very nice to use during flower painting. Today I would like to show you how they paint. Actually, well, I will show this on peonies. Let's get started. Today we paint with oil, not with diluent, not with thinner, with oil. Of course you can use diluent, but the flowers are softer and more tender with oil. There are some perks. Okay, here you can see the whitewash, they're quite thin, and you can see that the brush is so soft that it's quite hard to work with thick colors. Therefore, it's better to water it down with oil. This brush is quite balanced, so that it's bounced on the one hand, and on the other hand it's long enough so that it's tense and in soft. The strokes with this brush are very soft, and it leaves no traces on canvas as usual bristle brushes do. So you should put some oil on canvas, have a look at it, and make sure that all the canvas are covered with oil. It should be all the same in all the places, and the layer should be very, very thin. No traces of oil on your hand when you touch it. As thin as it's possible. So now we can make the outline. Okay, let's take this central peony. We only need the silhouette. It's the central one. What else we need is the central point. The point from where all the petals are growing. We need to remember this for painting later on. Another peony is growing a little bit downwards. Here we also mark the point for all the petals to grow, and we make the silhouette. So for the beginning, how can we start? We take the bristle brush and we make the shadows. It will be the preparation. We just take some tint, some paint. The layer should be very thin as well. Well, I will repeat, you should paint thin all the time. It is very important as well to paint thin as you are using oil, so that the next layers, they do not smudge, they do not smear. So the shadows are quite intensive. Here, feel free, be natural, do not follow the outline. It's not necessarily. Later we will make the background. Most possibly it will be the dark background. Yes, the shadows, they are much more saturated than the lit up places. And pay attention that there is no dirty tints, no smudged colors on shadows. They should be flat and bold colors. Now we take the palette knife and smoothly, carefully, we remove the excessive paint, but pay attention that there are no grains on the canvas. Do not push on the palette knife too much. Just make it carefully. So here we are, we removed the excessive colors. Now we take the stump and we smooth the shadows a little bit, so that they would not be that sharp, that harsh. Here you can also feel free and not to follow the outlines, but the main thing is not to smudge the colors in the shadows. So you can feel that when the canvases are covered with oil, it's very easy. It's quite easy to work with colors, to spread it, but it's also critical to be careful and to use oil accurately. The first layer should be dry enough, the next one could be with a little bit more oil, and the next one you can use even more oil. So now let's assemble the flowers themselves. Let's put them together. We need to choose the brush. So here's the brush for little petals. This is the double brush. It's very well, we can use it for small petals in peonies or in marguerites. This is half-rounded brush, number 40. It's almost flat. It's almost flat, and it's very useful when you work with flat flowers like tulips, for instance, or poppies or fleur de lis. Well, this oval-shaped small one and the big one, and now we take, well, so far we take the small one. The brush number 40, 4 centimeters wide. Now we only use lighter colors. Before we get started, it's better to water the whitewash down. It will save you some time, so you would not have to apply some more oil every time you need it. You just mix it with whitewash at the beginning. Do not put too much oil. It should be soft enough, but it should not smear. And then when we choose the color for our flowers, we may add some more oil in it. So we vary the quantity of oil depending on the, let's say, on the color of petals. They could be even almost luminous. In this case, we take more oil. In case they are dark enough, we take less oil. Before we start painting the flowers and the petals, let's make the background. So we take just the dark color, and in a very, very thin layer, we get rid of all the white spots on the canvas. The layer should be thin enough as well. Here you follow the outlines of flowers. You try to find the contour. So we made the background. It's absolutely spontaneous, just bold colors without whitewash. Surely the background could be, let's say, not that dark, but I felt like making it dark. Now we also remove the excessive paint so that the next layer would be done perfectly, so that we could paint the next and the next and the next layer. By the way, if you applied too much oil, you may just take some tissue or towel, accurately apply it to the canvas, and smoothly remove it. This is the way you take the oil from canvas. So now we take the brush, as I said before, we watered down the whitewash a little bit, and now we round up the flowers. We start with the central one, but actually if you want to do it as you should start from the further ones. So here's the peony, it looks right at us. Now we only use lighter colors. Well, it will be not the lightest color, but something in the middle. We put the brush at right angle and round up the flower. We make the petal from the edge to the center. It should not be the lightest place at the flower. We make the grade from the darkest place to the lightest. What is important? You take the brush, it's the flat brush, and from one part of it, from one corner, it should be darker color. On the other corner, it should be lighter color. So why do we do this? The grade makes us, well, let's say gives us the chance to show the petal, so the volume of it. You can see that the light falls on the one rim of the petal, and you can see that it's concaved. So actually how we can paint the peony? Just imagine the circles. Here you can see the biggest circle, the middle one, and the central one, the smallest. They are not perfect, just natural. Why do we need this? We needed to imagine how to put the brush. So we put it like this, it's at the right angle, and we make the stroke, so that this lighter part fuse with the darker one. So here the circle goes, and we put it here, and we make a stroke with a stop. Just natural, just usual spontaneous stroke. So here it goes like this. We also put the brush at right angle and slightly make the stroke. Very fast, very easy, so that the grade shows the lighter and the darker colors. So here you can see the middle circle. You can see that here the petals are smaller. You may use this kind of brush in different ways, not only putting it with the whole, with its all flat. You can also use the corners. Also, for small petals, you can use this smaller brush, or you can take the double brush. What do you need this for, actually? It's not, well, mostly we use it not for to make the painting faster, but to make the flowers more spontaneous, more natural. As it's harder to control both part of the brush, so when you make the stroke, it happens to be very natural. just as it should be.
Кистью два следа.
So here, when you mark the petals, it's very important not to lose the shadow. Do not cover it. If we cover it with lighter colors, the object, the flower, will simply disappear. We will not see the flower again. So be careful. So you just make it improvising. Do not think about shape too much. The peonies, this is the kind of flowers that are, well, let's say, quite ragged, quite mossy. Some sorts of them at least. So if we take that kind of color, which is not looked at centrally, but you look at it under some angle, so then you just may imagine the egg shape or the ellipsis, and you also put the brush at the right angle to this oval. So here you can add some details to the background, make it a little bit more interesting and complicated. Then you take the stump and soothe it a little bit. Make it smoother. So we fuse the colors. The brush should be dry enough. You just drain it every time you use it. It's almost clean. It doesn't leave the traces, almost. Another very important moment. Here you just mark some lights. And now we need to get rid of these shapeless parts. We take the dark colors and we cut clear the outlines of the flower. So we do not need these blurred lines. So we, as if we were infusing this flower in the atmosphere at the background with this brush. We use it a lot, this kind of brush, stamping all the time. At this point, we may make some leaves. For it, we will need the flat brush. We take a couple of colors. From the one side, the color should be darker, from the other side, lighter. So we make the grade. Well, something like this. You can see the difference. At the center, you may take the knife and put some color to make the fibers. So we put the brush like this at the right angle to the canvas, and taking into account the way, the direction of the light, we just paint the leaf. Here it goes, yes, the Unlike the flowers, the leaves could be painted both from the beginning to the edge and from the edge to the beginning. As you remember, petals are painted only from the edge to the beginning.
Да, облегчить себе задачу можно предварительно как бы.
To make it easier, you may just mark some outlines of the leaves, and then just being within this outline, you make paint the leaf. It's a little bit easier, and you have to get accustomed with the new brush. And then you just can take the palette knife and mark some fibers, so to make the leaves natural.
Да, вот что важно по вот этой кисти.
Just a very important moment about this brush. It's quite big one, and it's almost flat, but the edge is rounded. It can make the stroke almost flat, just like this. You put it at the right angle to canvas. But if you make it lean a little bit, not putting it at the right angle, but swaying it a little bit, you may make the stroke rounded.
Кисти к холсту углом или перпендикулярно вставляем и пишем.
And this is the way you can vary the strokes depending on the flowers you paint. And here you can see that this petal happened to be quite flat. So to change it, we just need to change the declination a little bit, the angle. And here you can see that it's a little bit more rounded. So you can see what I'm talking about.
Идем на высветление, вот уже на этом.
Again, at this point, at this level, we use even lighter colors.
Вот синтетическое
So here you can see how the four bristles work, the false ones, not like the natural. It doesn't leave the traces on canvas, but it's resilient enough to work with different types of colors, both thick and watered down.
Да, возможно, в наборах будут.
Also, in the set, it's possibly that you will find that kind of brushes.
Как такой и такой вариант может быть.
Both variants are possible.
Кисть пишет мельче.
This brush paints the petals even smaller for those tiny petals. Maybe for the smaller paintings, for smaller canvases, it will be very useful. Not like these paintings, but for smaller ones.
Вот как я уже
So,
говорил.
as I said before, the double brush is basically is not used for making paintings faster, to paint faster, but for making the painting more natural, more spontaneous, as you cannot control both parts of this brush. And the work of the with this brush, your work will be more alive, like being more natural, more casual, maybe. And at this point you may take almost dry brush, you just drain it, and it works almost like the palette knife, the soft palette knife. And then you make these petals even more luminous, so that they were almost shining in the light. Another hint is that you may just highlight the edges, the rims. They are highlighted by sun, and you may highlight it as well with this brush. And here I'm revealing another secret for you. You drain the brush, you take some darker color, for instance alizarin crimson, and you take just a little of color, almost with dry one, and you just scratch the petals a little bit. It's bounce enough so that it goes straight to the background of the canvas. Also, you may divide this brush in 2 or 3 parts, and well, it will looks like comb, and then you can see the stroke it makes with fibers.
Вот такой вот с таким разрывом. Вот еще раз попробую показать.
Let me try again. You just take the brush and divide it with hands or with a table, and then when it's divided, you just make a stroke. I think it's you've understood.